That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, I understand you have breaking news. I don't have a breaking news alert sounder here, but go ahead. What's up?
There's a deal, multiple reports, a deal between Quebec and Newfoundland on the thorny issue of the hydroelectric power sharing deal, which has been in existence for years and which basically saw Newfoundland getting screwed against the wall for decades. Apparently, a deal has been reached. Newfoundland gets a bigger slice of the pie for investment in their development. And the most delicious irony here, Aaron, is apparently this deal was reached after a middleman by the name of Mark Carney decided to sit down with the premier of Newfoundland and perhaps chat. So, remember, we have a government here that basically looks at Ottawa as a foreign nation, at the most polite way, as they call it, as a foreign nation. But here we have the federal government basically mediating between the two sides. Will this make it a difference in what happens in the election? It really depends on how much money winds up in our pocket, I guess, because let's face it, up until this deal began overshadowing all the other hydro stuff, remember the issue was, they're going to build more dams, or we're running out of power, we need more power, and we want to do A, B, and C, and God knows, maybe they were thinking of building data centers, and they'll need a zillion hydroelectric dams to feed that. But it's going to be a very interesting exercise in the days to come to determine whether this throws a spanner into the works, as they like to say, or is indeed going to just be a wet firecracker. In fact, unless it has a tangible effect on your average Quebecer, people go, okay, that's fine. But once again, this is one of those inside baseball dossiers that suggests. Maybe there was some backroom deals and whatever, but the fact is, Aaron, that the federal Liberals, that the federal government were involved in this is going to be very difficult, I think, for every Quebec politician to swallow.
Jim, do we get Labrador back?
Oh no, I don't think so. I don't. Maybe it's in the fine print.
Okay.
And you're joking, buddy. I'll bet you all my money tomorrow morning that PSPP is going to be up on his hind legs yelling about that.
Sure.
So what this is, it's a humiliation. We're on our bellies towards the federal government. Yeah. Terrible, blah, 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 blah. You know what? It's getting so crazy.
Yeah. Getting a little tired. All right, let's talk about the other stuff here, which you actually have in your note today, because I'm not sure. You said, should the Quebec Liberals have voted, quote, for none of the above as leader? What did Charles Milliard do to make you ask that question?
Mr. None of the Above is out polling Charles Milliard in all three polls that have come out in the past couple of weeks. Oh. He was 1 point behind None of the Above in the Palace poll. He was 20 points behind None of the Above in the Leger poll, and he's 9 points behind in this latest Symposium poll in La Presse. And yeah, you know what, buddy? We got a problem. We got a problem here because one poll does not a trend make, but we always say if you get three polls that are saying pretty much the same thing, you've got a problem. And indeed, even yesterday, I couldn't help but notice we were talking about the Pierre Plamondon's letter in the National Post.
Yeah.
Well, that's the leader of the party. And normally, if you go on the protocols of this thing, if the leader of a party says one thing and you want to say something about it, you would stand up and go online and say, listen, this is absolutely ridiculous. Elizabeth Frass, I got nothing against Elizabeth Frass. She's a fine MNA, liberal MNA. She reacts to this online. I haven't seen word one about this from Charles Milliard. I haven't seen Charles Milliard. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it was a joke before, now it's getting kind of serious. There's a little over 6.5 weeks until voting day. And someone wants to turn around and say, well, they could turn everything around, with one debate. No, it's never happened, never will. So maybe the Liberal brain trust should sit down with Charles Milliard and perhaps invite Mr. None of the Above just to give some advice and maybe figure out how they can actually, how can I put it, let Quebecers know that they have a leader who's running to be Premier of Quebec.
But Jim, isn't he busy in the regions? Because we know that's really where, the focus has to be. Is that why we're not hearing from him?
Is it really where the focus has to be? Because you remember when he came on a couple of weeks ago, it was like he had that really weird sort of almost Pierre Poilievre adjacent kind of slogan thing, regionalist, federalist, autonomous. I'm not hearing any of that anymore. But I'm not seeing the guy. I mean, maybe he's out in the regions, pumping the flesh. But you know what? I'm hearing about Christine Frechette. I'm hearing about that nice Mr. Paul St. Pierre Plamondon. They're there. They're making announcements. And they're doing it on a regular basis. I mean, Plamondon announced, I'm back from vacation. Is Milliard on vacation? Maybe somebody should tell us. Because quite frankly, if you're a Liberal supporter, you may be scratching your head over whether the lights are on, but if anybody's home, because this campaign, we're getting closer and closer. And the one thing that is becoming abundantly clear is that, I don't want to focus on Milliard. There's two other leaders who scored below Mr. None of the Above. But the thing is, it's a very volatile electorate. And if you think you're going to be able to surprise them in the good old-fashioned way, all it's going to take is one good performance in a debate and we're in like a dirty shirt. No. That's not how it works anymore. Maybe back in the 80s and the 90s. But in 2026, I'm telling you, you got to be there. I'm telling you because as much as I hate to admit it, but I think most people in mainstream media will admit it, we're not the number one purveyors of information. It's online, and you've got to be present. You've got to at least to combat the misinformation that's being posted about you. So all that said, maybe, the Liberals want to take a second look or a third look or a 12th look at how exactly they're running this campaign, because as my favorite line in the great movie Platoon, Sarge, I got a bad feeling about this one.
Jim, when you talk about moments, and we talked about this yesterday, right, the debates, and I think we're going to finally start to see the attack launched against the CAQ in the debates, because up until now it's been pretty much, nothing. You remember, Jim, 2015, what's your number, Justin? Did that not turn that election around?
Absolutely.
Could happen here, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, it could. I mean, anything's possible. But remember, back in 2015, we were still doing this show. I reminded you that Justin Trudeau did not win the election. Stephen Harper lost it.
Right.
And unless Jean Milliard's opponents are as accommodating, I would take nothing for granted. Certainly not the fact that when I'm looking at three polls and the guy's in third place, a distant third place, I would be very, very careful in terms of how I spend my time on the campaign trail. People, I know our system it doesn't work that way, but let's face it, in 2026 in Quebec, people vote for leaders. They don't vote for parties. So we've become Americanized in that way. So the fact is, maybe you want to be a little more active, a little more vibrant, a little more visible, a little more here. Because right now, I'm not getting the impression that anybody's heart is in it in terms of winning this election. So
let me ask, you've been doing this for a long, long time. You've seen lots of elections go back and forth. There's been other times when we haven't really, leaders have not really necessarily stuck out. And I have to go very far back to remember, Dominic Anglade. But can this be fixed, do you think? I mean, there's still, as you said, 6.5 weeks to go.
You're talking to a guy who covered the comeback of Robert Bourassa after he got drop-kicked out of office by the PQ in 76, and then back, I think it was, 84 or 85, he became premier again. I was there in those basements with him when he was in little ridings in St. Leo and wherever. He would go anywhere. He was there. And remember, this is pre-internet, but he was there, and you could feel the energy. You could feel the enthusiasm literally cracking in the air. And it was like, you know what? I used to be the premier of Quebec, one of the heaviest pluralities in Quebec political history. But here I am. I'm going to grind. I'm going to get those votes out there. I'm not getting the same feeling about this particular Liberal leader. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, honestly, Aaron, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, I would be very careful if I was the Quebec Liberal Party, because right now, in the past year, the only thing the Quebec Liberal Party has proven itself really, really good at is losing elections.
All right, Jim, before I let you go, fill in the blanks here. You talked about Mark Carney before getting this, Newfoundland deal getting done. But
yeah.
Are there new numbers showing that he continues to be the most popular federal politician?
It's nuts. I mean, it's crazy. They're saying, his approval in Quebec dropped. Actually, it's unfortunate. He is now only at some ridiculous thing like 43%. No, the party's at 43%, okay? And the satisfaction rate with the government in Quebec is 56%. These numbers are unheard of. These numbers are outer space. These are nuts, okay? And yet, this is the same guy. And remember, we're being told, you have to be careful. It's a minefield in Quebec. You have to be careful what you say because you know what? You'll turn all of Quebecers against you if you're too federalist. Mark Carney said 50 plus 1? No, it ain't going to happen. Quebec's not leaving with 50 plus 1. The usual suspects over at Quebecor began, tearing their hair out. But guess what? Look at these numbers. These numbers are crazy.
Yeah.
There seems to be as we like to say in these parts, an écart between what people are saying about the relationship with Quebec and the federal government and how that relationship in this particular context exists right now. And I think maybe there are a couple of party leaders who should look at those numbers and perhaps speak up a little more about the fact that, you're a federaliste, start sounding like one.
Perception versus reality, huh? Jim, before I let you go, I've been asking our audience today because it's National Vinyl Record Day. Do you remember the first album you ever bought?
First album was Rubber Soul. I got it at Miracle Mart, and I knew this day would come. The first 45, and it was a fight between me and my sister, and she won. It was Nancy Sinatra, Sugartown.
No.
Okay. But here's the twist. It wasn't for the A side. It was the flip side. Summer Wine.
Oh,
my sister loved that song.
I love that song too. That's a great song. Didn't get the attention of Sugartown, maybe. That's a great song. You don't still have that album. You don't have Rubber Soul anymore, do you?
Rubber Soul? Oh, good God, no. Don't get me going about my vinyl collection.
Never mind. Okay. James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
Or the free iHeartRadio app.